You want it? We have it. The hottest mortgage and real estate strategy broadcast in the nation. A Smarter Way Home with your host, Danielle Boote and Victor Bals. 50 years combined experience, ranked in the top 1% in the nation for home loan originations 2020. Promise to expand your knowledge, utilizing creative mortgage financing and home buying strategies. Build a bridge for a better quality of life. Get your brain cells firing for a smarter way home. And welcome to another episode of A Smarter Way Home. Modern mortgage solutions and home buying strategies for consumers and real estate professionals alike. My name is Victor Bals, over 20 years experience as a loan originator, and I have my wonderful co-host here of about 30 years experience, our loan officer extraordinaire, Mrs. Danielle Boote.
Good morning, Victor. How are you?
I am doing just fine today. And we have a pretty cool episode. We have some associates that we work with here in the county. Who do we have with us today?
Yes. Next to you is Dustin Anderson. He is a loan officer with Highlands Residential Mortgage in Brighton. He has over 10 years experience in the business. Dustin, a little bit of background on Dustin, is he grew up in Pinckney. He is married. He has a beautiful wife and 4 beautiful children. Currently living in the Pinckney Hell area on a chain or near a chain of lakes. Yeah. And you've been working with him for about what?
About 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
He joined us about 2.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Does a great job as a loan officer and has had exciting growth in his business in the last couple of years.
So welcome aboard, Dustin. How are you this morning?
Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Danielle. I'm doing very well. A little hot and sweaty. Just left the gym, but doing fine.
Do you wear your Santa Claus hat at the gym?
I do. With all the craziness going on in the world today, I just try to make people smile and laugh, right?
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
Everybody needs a good laugh.
Very good. Who else we have here, Danielle?
And we have Heather Shawn, who is a real estate agent with Keller Williams, also a good friend of ours and Dustin's, and you've got a little bit of her background information. She also lived in Pinckney for a while years ago.
I did.
Funny
So
story
we've got some funny stories there that they'll have to tell us
we
about.
do.
Yeah,
Yes, we
okay.
do.
So, let's get into this here. And, in today's real estate market, we've got realtors, we've got loan officers, but in this unbelievable seller's market, we need real estate and lenders working together to get executed offers. And you guys have teamed up, and it seems to be a little bit easier for you to get accepted offers for your clients. And first, I want to dig in a little bit deeper about Dustin. Dustin, where did you come from? How did you get in the business here?
Well, I came from sales. I was a district sales manager at a newspaper. And funny story there, my dad said, hey, you know what? If you're not going to finish college, because I was like, I was partying a little bit too much back then. And he said, go to the biggest building in downtown Kalamazoo, or something's going to be around forever, like the newspaper. Mm-hmm. Went to the newspaper. We all know what happened there.
Oh, my
That's been
goodness.
around
But
forever.
They still do those?
Yeah, right.
newspapers?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, worked there 10 years, worked my way up, like I said, to a district sales manager. And then I saw the white writing on the wall where, hey, this is coming to an end. And reached out to my cousin who was at Quicken Loans at the time. And I said, hey, I'm moving back to my hometown and need a new career. And he goes, you'll love it. You'll be great at it. And never looked back. And that was in 2010.
So you've been doing loans for now, 11 years now?
10, 11 years, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Tell me a little bit about your family.
So, yeah, I have 4 wonderful kids. I met my wife in Kalamazoo. We had 2 kids there. And when we moved back here to Pinckney area, we had 2 more. My oldest just turned 18. She's 18 going on 30, it seems like, just about ready to graduate high school. My son, underneath her, is 14, and he is 6'3", actually 6'4" now. So, yeah, that's kind of a shock. I'm going to look up to my son, who's 14. And then my daughter, McKenna, she's our blessing. About a year ago, she was in a pretty horrific accident. And that was on Christmas Day. Needless to say, we're going to be wrapping her in bubble wrap this year and not letting her go outside. So, yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, and then my youngest is Daxton, and he's the life of the party, making everyone laugh, and just a true comedian.
Very good there. Heather, let's talk a little bit about you before we talk about your relationship with Dustin. how did you come into the field? Tell us a little bit about yourself. One thing I'm here reading on my notes here is that you grew up in Dustin's bedroom.
Let's back it up. Dustin grew up in my bedroom.
Okay. Well, give us a little background. So give us a little background.
You want that story first?
Yeah. Let's. Okay. Where'd you come from? And then what's this about you in the bedroom with Dustin?
No, oh my Lord. So my background. So I also did not go to college, and I went straight to the bank in Ann Arbor and started working with them for about a year and a half, and then I took off and went to college for about a year to try to figure out what my life's going to look like. And then in the midst of all that, myself paying for school, I needed a good job that paid decently, and walked into Kelly Services one day and asked them to help me find a job, and they found me a job at Ford Motor Company as a contract employee. And then at that time, after 3 months contract, they ended up offering me an opportunity to work full-time as a salaried employee. So I didn't have a degree at that time. So I gave them 20 years of my life, and I realized I did not want to be in the auto industry, but it was my income. And but I got let go after 20 years, my 20th year, and I had to reinvent myself. And so therefore, a friend of mine asked me to get licensed to help her out with some of the business she had here in Michigan. And it kind of really just, I wasn't sure this was still the career for me, but then I walked into Keller Williams November 2018, and I haven't looked back.
Oh, okay. Well, also it says here you have somewhat marketing experience background, which is probably helping you in your industry. Can you touch on that, please?
Sure. So while I was at Ford, one of my positions, I was an executive assistant for about 12 years, and I had asked them to make me relevant. I didn't want to just be somebody doing meetings and, taking care of bringing people coffee. So they got me involved with a lot of different things, and at one point, Ford started developing a communication channel internally and corporate-wide, and because of my position, it allowed me to get involved with social media and communications with the plant, and then communicating back to corporate. So it gave me a lot of opportunity to learn social media, and then while I was trying to vet myself in real estate, I got involved with a social media company and started doing working with small and medium-sized businesses to promote their businesses. And then now I freelance for a company. It's a larger advertising and marketing company, and I picked up a couple small accounts with them.
Oh, good. Okay, so now we know a little bit about your background. So let's get into the bedroom story. What's this bedroom story that we keep talking about?
So funny story. So in 2018, when I walked into Keller Williams, I had this little cube, and there's this guy sitting next to me, and he has a friendly face. And so him and I started talking, and he truly was my first friend. And we got to doing the small talk and figured out he had grown up in Pinckney. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I said, my father also lived in Pinckney. And he's like, oh, where did he live? And I told him he lived on one street, and then we moved over to another street. And I'm like, everybody in Pinckney knows this house because it sits on a curb, and either everybody's driven through a yard or crashed through a bridge. And he's like, and he rattles off the address.
The bridge.
He rattles off the address, and I'm like, what? And so he's like, yeah, my parents bought that house. We figured out his parents bought the house for my parents. And so the bedroom that I was sleeping in became his bedroom. It was weird.
What a weird small world.
Yeah. It was very strange.
Brother and sister from another
mother.
Yeah,
and,
from another mister.
Yeah, another mister.
So you must have assumed sitting in that office at Keller Williams that he was just another real estate agent.
I did. Honestly, I did. And so at that point, we developed a friendship, and I had a buyer come to me once and said, look, I don't have a lender. Do you have a recommendation? And I really didn't have a relationship with anyone yet. And so I looked at him, and I'm like, look, I'm going to throw you a bone. And if you do me a solid, I'll give you another one. And just don't screw it up. So he did a really great job. And so because of that, I just found it valuable to build that relationship. And as long as he kept doing the job and servicing my people the way I would service them myself, then he had the job.
Excellent. So that's
haven't
a kind
dropped
of a
the ball
small,
yet.
You haven't dropped the ball. So Dustin, let's talk about a little bit about your experience, because I know you worked at one of the big mortgage companies and all of that. And then
two of the big mortgage companies.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what made you gravitate towards mortgage banking or getting out of the big bureaucracy type lenders?
Well, basically it was, and I won't take anything away from them. They do a great job for what they do as far as training and, the call center, but it's a boiler room. It's, really need to be a young single person to be able to make it there. I mean, and I was trying to.
Why is that? The hours and the
the hours exactly. So for me, I was driving from Pinckney to Detroit, which is an hour and a half, 2 hours on a morning if there's snow, to get to work. And then you have a 20-year-old kid telling you, "Hey, take the next call. You're not leaving until you get a loan on the board." And it was all about the numbers.
Wasn't about the customer.
It wasn't about the customer, unfortunately. So I saw that, and I said, you know what, I can take the time, treat clients properly, and show them not just what the algorithm spits out at me to tell me what to tell them what kind of loan to go with. So now I said, you know what, I'm gonna leave this for a while, and I'm gonna go and search and see where I want to fly my flag. And I interviewed with a few different lenders at that time, small little, lender mom and pop shops in downtown Brighton, and then I came across Vic.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
Well, and the interesting thing in my tenure of career is it is very rare that we take a loan officer out of a call center and have them be successful in a local real estate market. I've seen it tried many, many times, and most people don't succeed.
And that's one of the fears that they implant, at these big companies, is that, hey, you go hit the streets, you're gonna fall flat on your face.
Right.
Well, and that we were pretty hesitant about taking you on at the beginning there, And here at Highlands, the office we're at now, we pride ourselves that our minimum experience is 10 years. I mean, I think you're the lowest experienced one we have, and that's 11 years.
Yeah.
We were very hesitant. I remember when we brought you in at the old place there, and you started to hop and started to get things done and started to get your systems going and built more confidence in me. And then when that company got bought out by another, you and I both chose not to go into a banking environment again, but to go to a mortgage banker. And that's when we seeked out the Danielle, and we came together, and everything has worked out real well, and we've seen you grow.
Thank you.
So exponentially.
One of the exciting things, I love to read the reviews that come in, because I get to see all the loan officers in our branch, and most of Dustin's reviews comment that he's like a member of the family, and he's like my brother now. Yeah. So you make that kind of a bond with people that they can trust you. They know that you're going to work hard to get their goals achieved, but you truly care about the people that you work with. Yeah,
and that's key to making sure they have the best loan going forward, period. And just, taking the time, showing them the ins and outs. One of the things one of my positive takeaways with the whole COVID and kind of, having to isolate at home for a while is Zoom and Microsoft Teams that I use. So I show my clients virtually through Microsoft Teams, here's all the ins and outs. Here's what we're looking at. Here's the options. What if we went with the a lower rate? Here's how it affects your cost. What if we went with the higher rate? Here's how it affects your cost. What if we look at rural development or et cetera? So that's one of the best things that I think that came out of the COVID.
We're embracing the technology that we've had for over a decade that we hardly use.
Yep. The two things we came out of COVID is we know how to Zoom and we know how to use a QR code.
Yeah, right.
I still don't like that.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I do that wrong all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about the pre-approval operation there and how you pre-approve the clients, because that's very important to do up front before you go out there searching for a home. So how do you and Heather refer business back and forth, and what's your strategy for getting the pre-approval and getting these clients on the streets looking at homes?
You want to start?
Go ahead. I'll let you go first, and then I'll.
Yeah, so I mean, usually, they come to Heather first, and they're looking to buy a home, and Heather's, says that you have a pre-approval, and either yes or no, and I think in either category, she probably recommends, hey, call my preferred lender, Dustin, and let him make sure that you have the best option out there, period. And so what I do at that point, once they call me or reach out to me, or via share the app that we have, a co-branded app, which is nice. But I set up an appointment with them, go through all the ins and outs. Again, what amount they're looking to purchase, how much they're looking to put down, and then customize that program, that pre-approval for their specific scenario. And then at that point too, I'm also doing the due diligence up front to making sure we get all the supporting documents, so there's no brick walls that we hit after they get under contract.
So let me ask you this, because in today's seller's market, I found that we have to offer several options to our clients because some properties won't accept certain type of financing. Do you go over that with your clients as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Here's option A. You know, if we want to try to do as little down as possible, let's go with maybe rural development. But hey, you know, you do have mom and dad sitting in the back that are willing to maybe gift you some funds. Here's option B. If we find that house that will not accept rural development or FHA, let's go conventional. Okay. And then there's those handful of clients too that are strictly conventional.
Okay, and so now how do you communicate that information to Heather so you guys as a team create a strategy for executing a winning offer?
Actually, I was going to say, what I really appreciated about Dustin was that he's super communicative. The responsiveness, I mean, it's top notch. So I don't know how to, I think it's a Ford thing too. I don't know how to work without urgency. So Dustin works with the same urgency that I do. And so because of that, I know that I can get answers fast. And what he does is that I am an educator. Dustin also educates well. And so I pick up a lot of first-time home buyers, or we have a woman who's been married for 30 years and has never sold a home or ever bought a home. So we do a lot of hand-holding. And I knew that when we are together, we hold the hand the same way. And so, and all my clients have always been so grateful for his patience, thoroughness, just ability to take them through an A to Z. And we don't drop the ball together. And that's why I truly appreciate it. So when we communicate and I've got someone coming into me saying, I need a lender, I'm telling them, I've got a guy. This guy will I treat you like family. He's going to treat you like family. And by the end of the transaction together, I mean, these people are so relieved and happy because this is a confusing process, especially for people who've never navigated it before. So then once we get that pre-approval, you know, they go through Dustin, they get all their stuff together, they get pre-approved. Dustin communicates that to me quickly. What I also loved about working with him, and maybe I'm spoiled because I don't work with a lot of lenders, is that we strategize the offer together. So where I can call Dustin and say, look, we've got this opportunity to go in for this house, and we may not be the strongest, but we need to come up with something that's going to make it more appealing. And because of that, when we sit down and strategize, we almost negotiate the offer together, and then we'll go to the client and say, look, this is what we're thinking, and what do you think?
So at sometimes the highest price offer is not necessarily the best offer?
Yeah, it's not. And I've won a lot of FHA offers in this market when FHA is not the most appealing. I've gotten a lot of FHA offers accepted because we've been able to come up with something. But I guess I feel completely blessed. And I have a lot of lenders approaching me, asking me to sit down and talk to them. And I got 2 of them in my office right now. And I'm like, no, thank you. You know, this is the guy, and I'm not.
Well, it takes a village, and it takes the correct village.
Right. And part of that comes from just being at Highlands, where, at Highlands Mortgage, we're able to do stuff very efficiently, quickly, and really just
personably.
Exactly.
And we share a lot of ideas, which is unique in a mortgage office. Dustin will come into my office. Vic, I go to his office. We'll be like, hey, I got this. I'm working with this client. Let's brainstorm some ideas to come up with. And usually one of us will go, well, did you think of this?
Yeah.
Well,
and then you go, the light bulb goes off and goes, you know what? We're just going to tweak it just a little bit. And it gives us something that's better for the client, a better opportunity to present to the seller. Yep. And, Heather, I guess I would love to just hear your commentary on how you present an offer to the seller and how you present the strength of your client based on the lender that they're using.
Well, sometimes I always first, before I go into any deal, I reach out to the agent first because I ask the questions, what's important to the seller? And a lot of agents don't do that. They just present an offer. They don't ask the questions. So I want to know, is occupancy or is money in their pocket going to be what's important to them? So as soon as I can understand what the seller's priorities are, it can help me know better. So where if I have somebody who may only have 10% to put down, or they don't have a lot of extra money in their pocket. What we need to do is, if I had an FHA offer, we can do 3.5% down and they've got a little extra money. Maybe we're coming in and offering them the state tax or the transfer tax or something to put more money in their pocket and lessen their liability or the tax liability. So, when I'm presenting that to the seller's agent, I'll let them know, like, we do have a strong offer. And this is why we're doing this. We want, not only does my buyer want this house, but at the same time, they don't have the 20% to put out, or if they even had the 20% down, sometime we're kind of working out the payment. Like, look, it's only going to be this little bit of a difference. If maybe we come in and offer them a little bit extra over here. Appraisal gap was a big deal this year. I don't believe in appraisal gap. If my client wants the house enough, we'll come up with something. But I don't feel like we need to give away the farm or, give away our first kid just to get a house. So maybe what we're trying to do is, they've got the 20% down. Maybe we're putting 15% down and use that little extra cushion to try to sweeten the deal over there. So that's why it works so well for me to talk with him. And there has been times where he's had to come to you and say, look, we got a sticky one and we need to figure out something because we may not get this to go through.
We don't have a sticky one. We have an opportunity to solve something.
Surely. Surely. And but you guys know your business better than we do. And I don't know what our opportunities are. And you jump through hoops and make it happen. And as an agent, that is big for me because I'm dating a man whose son is a vice president or director at Quicken. And it's a big deal. We sit and have conversations and it makes me feel bad because I'm like, no, I have a loyalty. I have a loyalty and that's not going anywhere.
Well, it doesn't matter how long you've been in this business. Every transaction, every borrower, every seller is different and unique. They have unique needs. They have unique situations. If it was cut and dry, it wouldn't be we wouldn't have the opportunities that we have. I mean, I had somebody tell me in the last 10 years, what are you going to do when we don't need loan officers anymore? I've had family members say this.
I've heard that before too.
And including family members that wouldn't have a house if it wasn't for what we did in the mortgage process, because if they would have gone to a .com lender, that would have never closed. And we didn't do anything, we're following the rules, doing honest business, but we know how to get it done into the closing table. I think more than ever, a strong loan officer and a strong realtor are what holds the transactions together. We've heard the same thing about realtors, right? Well, all realtors are going to do is open a lockbox. Or people have literally talked in the last 10 years about giving buyers electronic lockbox access to the home and not even have a realtor. I mean, who in their right mind as a seller would want strangers being able to walk up to their house with an app and say, I'm a buyer, let me in? What the holy, no.
There's a liability to that.
I'm sorry. No. And the same thing with mortgage people. I mean, how many deals do we get a month at our branch that are what we would call a rescue deal, where it fell off the conveyor belt at a large lender? And again, I'm not saying it was a bad deal. It was maybe more of a challenging deal, and nobody communicated to the client how we needed to document whatever their situation was.
Yep.
Oh.
It's kind of funny because I have those same calls like, oh my God, my real estate agent didn't earn their money. All they did was open the lockbox. That's what you want, because if you think they only opened the lockbox, that means that transaction was smooth and you have no clue of what went on behind the scenes with all the emotions of the sellers, the buyers, the home inspectors, the processors, the appraisers, just all the people involved in making that and getting them to the finish line where they think, oh my God, nobody earned their money.
Well, and that's funny you said that, because I have a lot of clients who kind of felt that way. And it's like, you don't understand the nightmare that we just kept out of your face.
Yep.
Because we were able to work it in the background. And I can tell you the last 3 deals that I've had with other lenders have not gone smoothly. And it's been hard for me because I, in fact, almost had to go to one of the lenders and go over their head, because I'm like, look, we're not getting the responses. We're not getting good service. And
communication.
It was no communication. I actually almost turned that loan over. I'm like, look, at this point, we're done here. I'm going to turn you over to my people. We need this closed in like a week. Can we get it done? Dustin's like, let me see what we can do, and talks to Danielle. And but it's just it's so important to have the right people on your team. And I don't have a lot of trust in people that aren't on my team, only because I've seen how deals can go south real fast.
Yeah, well, it's like the old adage there. What do they call a lawyer who passed the bar by one question? A lawyer, right? Yeah. You know, and I always tell people, well, you know, when I hear those horror stories of other lenders out there, I go, well, if it wasn't for lenders like that, I'd be out of a job, wouldn't I?
Right.
There you go,
Right. Yeah. You know, and I don't think most consumers know that there is a website for NMLS, which is the National Mortgage Licensing System federally, where you can actually look up a loan officer by their name or ID number, and you get their entire resume. And it's real interesting because you could find a loan officer that has been in the business for less than 90 days and was a bartender. Not that there's anything wrong with being a bartender, but if you are a loan officer that is working at a call center and you've been only out there for 90 days, you know, do you think you're going to get solid financial advice?
You know,
they're button clickers.
And when you say that, Danielle, when you look at the call centers or the big refinances houses, you know, us loan officers, we all love refinances because they're very easy transactions.
True.
But when we put all the emotions and all the uniqueness of sellers and buyers together, it takes an orchestrator or team leaders and everybody to orchestrate together to keep the balance and keep the emotions.
Yeah, I mean, there were lenders. One of the things that shocked me nationally, looking at all of the top producing lenders in the nation in this past year, was there are companies that did 100% refinance business. 100%. Those companies will be out of business by 2022, if they're not already. They literally popped up out of nowhere to make a tremendous amount of money because of the low rate environment. You know, first of all, those companies won't survive, but do you think you're going to get any financial advice? I mean, the only people that they're going to close are the slam dunk clients with good credit, have equity, you know, no complications with their employment history or self-employed people or whatever. I mean, we've had rescue deals at our branch that we've closed in the last 60 days, $1 million transactions for self-employed borrowers that were literally turned down by some of the biggest banks in this country. Wow. We are talking customers that have high net worths, but they're multiple businesses. Do you know how difficult it is to review one business tax return, let alone a client that has 6 business tax returns? I mean, we are talking excellent credit, cash flow, no issues, and the banks can't do those loans. Why? We can end up selling the same loan to the bank that turned it down in the first place because the loan officer doesn't know anything about self-employed, doesn't know how to document the transaction. And as a realtor, you know, the strength of your buyer ends up being on the name on their pre-approval, but also your name and your reputation, right? I mean, it helps when you might know that listing agent or they know of you and have heard good things. And, you know, honestly, it boils down to your honesty, integrity, right?
It absolutely does. And I think, too, I mean, to your point, I'm now in a market in Oakland County. We have a lot of people who are self-employed.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people who have their own businesses. And it's so true. I mean, and I'm self-employed. I want to go buy a house again next year. And I see the nightmare.
I know a good lender.
I have a really good lender. But to your point, when you've got that much money on the table.
That may be a conflict of interest. I'll do your mortgage for you.
But she's self-employed, so you're going to have to talk to me.
Okay. But I mean, in the guy I date, he's self-employed and he wants to go buy a house. And it's like, we recognize that we've got some work to do in front of us because, I mean, and these people who don't know the mortgage process aren't also maybe keeping the best of records. And while they have maybe the cash flow and the good credit, their records might suck.
Exactly.
And so then we need a good advisor because we don't know what
we have to prepare you. We have to prepare you for it.
But that goes to saying that those big banks, not that they couldn't close the deal, they didn't take the time to peel the loan back and look at all the stuff, get the supporting documentation, and they departmentalize everything. Well, I can't do it. Let's send it to the next station or whatever. Where we take a holistic approach.
You know, one of the biggest things that I'm shocked that the bigger players in this industry do not have when I got to where you were, Vic, was a credit simulator. So the other two big companies I work for did not have this tool. And this tool is so handy. And maybe that's why they turned down a lot of these people, because now we have this credit simulator. We can go in and say, hey, if you just do X, Y, and Z, instantly we're going to get your credit up above a 620, above a 640, and have other options to qualify.
Well, when it comes to credit, and we've talked a lot about credit on our show, nobody teaches young adults anything about credit.
Correct.
You know, many parents, and I'll say parents, because unless you take an economics course in high school or college, you're getting no financial training. Remember back in the day, Vic, in our generation, man, you took home ec. I mean, I took wood shop. I took metal shop in middle school. Like, I actually thought that was cool. We were heating up metal with torches and bending it. I mean, I never intended to use that as a skill, but man, maybe if I retire someday, that'll be my hobby, you know?
Got you out of math class.
Yeah, you had to learn, but everybody had to take home ec. Right?
No.
You know, everybody, you didn't take home ec?
I got to take typing.
Oh, okay.
And I still hunt.
Well, you still, you got a big F in that, didn't you?
Yeah.
But that was the IBM Selectric that was about 3 feet long. But we had to learn multiple life skills. Nowadays, nobody's getting taught that. And you know what? Most parents tell their children, credit cards are bad, don't use them.
Right.
Okay? I have seen young adults in their mid to late 20s that have no idea how to use credit. They know a little bit about it. And I'm not saying they're screwing anything up, but I can look at somebody's credit report and say, hey, I want you to do these 3 things. A great success story. My daughter has been married for almost 4 years. I have a wonderful son-in-law. And Allison, my daughter, said to me, would you talk to Trevor? You know, we're going to get married. We want to buy a house. Trevor's got okay credit, doesn't have bad credit, but he doesn't really know much about it. He was paying his bills on time, you know, no issues there, but he just didn't know a lot about it, right? Well, I sat down with him, reviewed his credit, and I said, Trevor, I want you to do these 3 things. I said, here's the important way to use credit card usage. Yep, you've got a car payment, paying on time, that's good, but I wanted him to do one other thing and maybe open one more account, because at this point he's in his kind of early to mid 20s. In less than 6 months, he raised his credit score from what would have been an average range to an exceptional range with doing almost nothing. They then, within a year, you know, my daughter had good credit, but I taught my daughter how to use and build credit. They bought their first house 3 years ago. And I just woke up this morning to the text that they just got an offer accepted on their dream home.
That's awesome.
Okay. Not only have they built a ton of equity, they kind of bought a house that needed a little bit of love. They've been working their, rear ends off for 3 years, but their credit is exceptional now.
And that's one of the important things.
And
is
you
to
go,
put together that mortgage plan.
They've worked hard. And again, here's the thing. My son-in-law is working full time. He is a husband, he is a father, and he's a college student. His company is sending him through to college. My daughter's a nurse. They work very hard. They've worked very hard for every bit of this, and they're going to do it on their own. I just gave them advice, and he listened. Not everybody listens. No. Yeah. But this is simple. We can teach anyone. It doesn't matter your income level. I mean, I've seen doctors that don't have good credit, right?
Oh.
Right.
That's almost harder to fix than taking a young adult who wants to build something. There are simple rules. Let's just follow them and work with the right people that can help get you there.
And I've sent a lot of people to Dustin saying, look, I know they don't have great credit, but we need to figure something out and give them some hope, because once they think they have bad credit, they don't know how to establish the good credit or how quick this can happen.
Or they're taking advice from their fathers, brothers, in-laws, or something that's not there.
Pay everything off.
Yeah, because this is really not rocket science. It is very easy. It's about taking the time to sit down and understand and listen, because we can take you to that promised land. It's not if someone can qualify, it's when. Right. Let's take that snapshot now and say, here you are in this situation, but we can better your situation if and you do these items. It's pretty simple.
And I also think nowadays trust is really hard.
Yeah,
I think people have a really hard time trusting other people for good reason. Right?
There's no service in the service industry anymore. No. And that's why it's been so important to me, because I've worked in customer service and I know what and how I feel when I don't feel I'm getting the preferential or any treatment. And so that's why it was so important with me pairing up with Dustin, is that we do give good service. I know that.
Right.
I have had plenty of my clients saying, I couldn't have done this without you both. And to me, knowing that trust was there, and then knowing we're getting people referring, 80% of my business is referral because they know we got the job done. And I say he's like the shiny bow on my poor hat on my package.
But Heather, that exceptional customer service, that's the rule, not the exception.
No,
Should
right.
be.
Yeah.
You know, and where others seem to just don't set that bar.
Well, and you can't be in this business this long or any longer if you can't get those referrals. I mean, it's going to burn out at some point, or those ratings are going to catch up with you.
Right. Right, because now in the digital age, everything is online.
Yeah.
I mean, bad Google ratings, you can't fix those.
No.
You know, our company uses a system called Experience.
Experience.
That they
yes.
just changed the name. That's why I had to think twice there. You know, that all of our customers, whether realtors, clients, whatever, get to write a review. You know, and it's pretty much it's anonymous. You know, we know who it is, but obviously it'll just show their first name and a last initial. And, you know, we want solid reviews. And, you know, not that we can make everybody happy, but if 98% of our customers are really, really happy, then we know we're doing something right.
Yeah, and I use that as a barometer on my own
It's a report card for us.
You know, to say, okay, you know, because so I use that. But you know, and nowadays, you know, I've been in it so long. The money is not. I used to be very self-serving when I first began in the industry, but through the years, it's become quite opposite. And I found by giving more and just educating, it's. I guess it is about me because it makes me feel good to do that, you know, is to help the people and give them the options. And a lot of times I may not get that client. I've educated them so much. Now they go to their brother, you know, and then, or something like that. And that's okay.
Well, and I think too, like I was a little fearful. I always thought being in real estate would be a cool gig. Like I just thought, wow, this looks really glamorous and it looks fun. And then you get into it and it's like, it's a lot. But at the same time, I think, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah. But I think what happens is we get like that personal report card type of thing. I got in this business and saying, I hate sales. I don't want to be in sales. And I think I talked myself out of this a long time ago because I was thinking sales. Yeah,
it's not.
But it's not. It's a matchmaking opportunity. And for me, it's like I love giving and I want to make people happy and make them feel good. And I know that I like to have fun doing it too.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm with Mr. Fun because he also balances us out.
Yeah.
But I feel really great at the end of the day when I can go home and say, you know, I got that first time home buyer in a really great house, or I helped that woman who just went through a divorce, find a home that's going to make her feel safe and comfortable. And those are what's the most rewarding for me.
Well, is there anything in life more important than your home and your family other than our health, right? That is what everybody works for. I think most people, right? I mean, there's some people that go and travel the world and that's what they want to do and maybe they don't care about that. I'm not saying that everybody does, but most people, their home is their sanctuary, and it's where they raise their families or the kids come home to, or maybe, you know, they have dogs, maybe they're dog people or bird people, whatever. Everybody wants a home, you know.
And it's funny too, because those people, everybody wants a home and you want to see them have this experience. Yeah. But I get very emotionally attached to my clients too. Yeah. So like I am an empath. Like I feel all of that. And I mean, and they say the one thing I remember learning, keep your emotions in between the lines because it is exhausting when you're working many deals and you're on a high and you're on a low and you're on a high. I mean, I feel bipolar a lot of days because, you know, you're so attached to people and what's happening in their lives. But, you know, it's the golden road. At the end of the day, the goal is to get them in this really great house or to sell the home, know that they made a lot of equity, and now you're helping them move on and into their next investment.
Right. And building more memories, you know? I mean, one of the most vivid memories in my life, and we have lived, what have Jim and I lived in 3 houses? But I remember closing on my first home. We went to the closing, I think it was about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we both had to work, but we both left the closing and drove all the way to the new house just to turn the key in the door. I was 20 years old, turning a key to a door of a house that we owned, you know, and I will never forget that. And I still remember doing it in the second house. And I remember it even in our current house.
They're big moments.
They're big moments, you know, because that was the house where our dogs ran in the backyard before we had kids, and where we brought the first baby home. You know, and now, you know, my husband, if he's in Westland, our first house was in Westland, Jim will still drive by the first house. And he did it.
We do that too.
He did it.
Yeah.
He did it in the last year or two. And I get this text and he goes, look, and he texted me a picture of our first house today, you know, and it was, you know, you go, you know, that's what you're trying to build.
It's funny because I drive down the Livonia, and I always drive by my first house, and I'm always hoping there's going to be a for sale sign there. I want to buy that home.
You know,
because I know I stashed some stuff up in the basement.
You think somebody found it 30 years later?
I don't know. I'm wondering if it's there. So I actually have dreams about going back to my old house.
You know,
what kind of stuff?
We don't want to know what you put in the ceiling. My daughter found that stuff in, whose house was it? No, my sister bought a house about 4 or 5 years ago. And she found stuff in the basement. It was like, what do we do with this? Nope, let's destroy that. You know what? My parents' house in the town that we grew up in, I moved into this house when I was 3, sold last year. If I would have known it, I would have bought the thing. Wow. And my husband was like, you would have. And I'm like, I would. Not that I need a house in Elk Grove, Illinois, but I would have driven to Chicago to go to an open house and probably would have bought the thing for the nostalgia of it.
Yes, there's a lot.
It's probably good I didn't know
Right.
it was for sale.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy there. So as we go further, I just was reading some notes here. I got to go back to Dustin.
Sure.
What is this about tournaments? You win a lot of tournaments. What is this all about?
Oh yeah, so I'm an avid dart player. I'm not a professional, but I'm up there with the pros. So
Do you wear your hat?
I do sometimes.
He wears the shirts?
I wear the shirts. Yeah, so I'm kind of this little shirt kick. Yeah, you know, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
So
but
you play darts.
I play darts. I have 5 or 6, 7 dartboards in my basement. I have tournaments online at home, but we also I do an adult youth league with my kids that's coming up here on Sundays, and then when we travel with them, even let my kids play. So last time we went to Wisconsin Dells, my oldest son Drake took 2 trophies, first place. I just went to regionals in Illinois, Rockford, Illinois, and got a couple second place, no first, but
we were there last week for soccer.
Really?
It's a long
In
drive.
Rockford?
It is a long drive. Yes. Yeah. Yes, we were there. That was about a month ago. Yeah, took 2 second place home with me, and the next big one I'm going to Vegas for nationals.
Really?
Yeah.
So you
Very
are
fun.
up there.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Well,
Do you
I have fun.
Do you have a shirt picked out for Vegas?
I bring a whole, probably a dozen different shirts. So, you know, I'm not sure. It depends on the
Okay.
mood. You know,
Okay.
sometimes I'm playing in 2 or 3 events a day.
Yeah.
So I'll change my shirt 2 or 3
So
times.
so Dustin is fun in the office because he wears these very unique shirts with like, so today your shirt is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You have dozens of really fun shirts. So literally Dustin is always on the road. So he's in the office several days a week, and we're always like, what you wearing today, Dustin?
What is it today?
And tell us a quick story about where were you on
Mexico.
vacation? You were in Mexico.
I was in Cabo for the President's Club retreat.
Yeah, the President's Club retreat that didn't really happen. So Dustin, you were texting us pictures.
Yeah.
So he's wearing one of his really cool, unique shirts
Very
that
unique.
you only buy online,
Yep.
right? And he walks into an elevator,
Yep.
and the guy's got the same shirt on.
Same shirt,
Yeah.
which was Ace Ventura, and it's a Hawaiian one, and it's a rare one. You can't even buy that one online anymore. And I'm like, brother,
There's another Dustin out
Yeah,
there.
there's another Dustin. So honestly,
Heather, are you sure?
you should become a social media influencer for that company.
oh, Roosevelt's, without any vowels, Roosevelt's without any vowels. So,
yeah. So you should start, tagging them. Laura at the office can help you with that
I
part of
will.
your
Yeah.
social media, to shout out, and maybe you become an influencer for Roosevelt.
That's exactly
it's so
what
fun.
we need.
Yeah.
Well,
I wish somebody had that for women's clothes. Like,
Right.
I'm struggling with that. There's nothing in the stores to buy.
No. We could get a women's brand.
They do have some. They do have
Okay.
some.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I could.
I got the socks on too today. So they, yeah, they make the socks too.
Okay.
You got Christmas vacation socks on?
No,
they're not matching. They match a different shirt.
they didn't match. I wasn't going to call them out, but they didn't match.
They're not fishnet, are they?
No, that's on Fridays. You know, that's Fridays.
Right.
Did your wife let you out of the house like that today, Dustin?
Okay. Hey, let's get a little bit more serious here, Beck. So as we wrap up the show now, you guys seem to be a dynamic team here. What message do you have for any sellers out there, buyers out there, first timers? What's a message for these people who want to enter the home buying market here in 2022? Don't
think that you can't buy a house. It's not like you said, Vic. It's not. If you can buy a house, it's win. And it may be just an hour conversation to put together a mortgage plan. And maybe it is not right now, but maybe it's a 6-month plan that we need to work on to get you there down the road.
Heather, when it comes to someone wanting to sell a home, when is the right time to start getting their act together and running the numbers? Is it now, or do they wait 2 months when they want to go buy? Or
no, I tell my people, if you think you want to sell in the next few months, let's look at it now. Let's see what does your net proceeds look like? What is there's a big plan that has to be established in the front of all of this. And, if you think right now, we know that we're still going to see another strong year. Mm-hmm. At least that's what the indicators are saying. We're going to see a strong year. And if you're thinking about selling, now's a really good time. So what we do is we just sit down. What do you owe? What would your net proceeds be? Because a lot of people like to try to negotiate or commission, and they think they're paying out a lot of fees, and they don't understand that the fees really aren't that much, and you're paying for the service.
Right.
And then on top of that, and then there's this whole other thing like, okay, what is the condition of your home? What are the little things that we need to do? And I'll give them a honey-do list. And so and then with that being said too, I just sold a woman's house just recently, not understanding she wasn't fully qualified to purchase yet. She didn't get all of her documents in. That was no fault of Dustin's. Okay. That was the fault of my client, making me feel assured that we had, and she just told me yesterday, I would not have sold my house if I didn't realize I may not get a loan. And I'm like, we're going to get her in a home.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the point is that there's so much front work that has to be done. So I don't feel like if you want to sell your house next month, we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Let me ask you another question on that, because you have people selling a home or people wanting to buy a home. What about these people who are buying a home and they have a home to sell? So they're putting an offer and contingent on them selling, which is, to me, it's a little bit weaker. Do you explain to buy first, then sell, or sell first and buy, and the power of those strategies?
Well, yes, because it is important to have your house on the market. If you can't purchase a home without selling your home, you're putting yourself, in this market right now, being contingent isn't going to win the offer.
No.
We can do it, but it depends on how long was that other house on the market. Are they willing to work with you? Do we have time? So I'm telling my buyers, if you're looking to go purchase a home, we have to be ready to put a sign in your yard today. Like we shouldn't even be looking at a home until there's a sign in your yard, because I know that if I've got someone coming to my listing with a buyer and their house isn't even on the market, but yet we have a contingency, we don't have the luxury of time.
And if your client is working with Dustin, you're reviewing these buy, sell, buy strategies up front to know what you can do?
Yeah. We're always reviewing. We're always we talk almost daily.
Yeah.
We talk a lot. We just make sure we know, because what I love is that I know 80% of my clients really have worked with Dustin. So we can sit down and, we're constantly reviewing where we're at with our people. But, I can't stress enough how important it is to have a really good lender in your back pocket so that and not all lenders are the same way. I know I can call this guy at 10 o'clock at night going, hey, we got a house we want to go after. Are we in good shape? Can we get a pre-qualification?
And where do you get creative? With the client, because again, sometimes it's just one little adjustment in that offer that can make it stand out.
And even this contingency thing, right? If we have a contingency, we better know that we've got the best offer that they can't turn down. A lot of people don't have the luxury of being able to front up a bunch of cash or do all these little extras. So it's like, okay, look, I know that we have people out there wanting to buy, but they're afraid, or they want to sell, but they're afraid they can't find the house to purchase because the inventory is so low. So I'm a strong believer in things all come together. They always do. The timing works out. There's ways we can work through these situations, but there's always going to be a house out there. So I do have a couple people sitting on the, they're kind of like just ready to step off the cliff. Like, I'm ready to sell, but I don't see that house out there and I'm not ready to do it. And so then my thing is like, okay, I want your house ready to go. Like, if we're going to go out and look for that house, your house better be ready to go, because we can get the pictures done. I just did this. We did pictures in the summer because we knew he may not be ready to go until winter, and I didn't want snow in his yard.
Right.
And so then, we got to make sure too, like, your house is clean and ready to show that first day. If that sign hits the yard, we start getting showings in 3 hours, you better be able to walk out the door and not have crap sitting all over the house. So it's, we got to have a strategy.
So you got a pre-planning session just like we do in the mortgage world.
It's very important to have a great realtor. And I'll tell you, my dart career, I played in a league. Actually, I have a league tonight. And there was an instance when Heather and I first got into her, she first got into the real estate, and I was just starting to self-generate my own business. I had one of my dart partners that was looking to buy a house, and they already had a realtor. But this realtor was not giving them the customer service that they needed. So I said, hey, let me talk to my one of my good friends, my sister from another mother, Heather, and to see if she has the time. And sure enough, she was ripper and ready to go. Took great care of them, and now I think she's better friends with them than me. But then that traveled through the whole dart community that we're in, and I think she's probably
sold
done
3 dart houses.
Yeah.
3 dart houses. Dart house. Wow. Oh, they call them dart houses.
Dart
now.
houses. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think most consumers understand the difference between a part-time real estate agent and a full-time real estate agent. And that is a dangerous distinction, because there's a lot of times where I do hear from buyers to go, my agent's not calling me back, or they don't call until after 5.
Right.
Well, that's because they have a job somewhere else, and this real estate is a part-time gig. Now, I'm not saying that an agent can't sell real estate part-time and be okay at it occasionally, but in this market, that is a huge,
Well, and you have to make yourself available, because I know that I have a boundary issue. I don't really, Dustin and I both do not have boundaries. We allow our people to contact us whenever they need to. But with that being said too, I have a lot of people, like even us as agents, trying to submit an offer, and we're not hearing back from the agent on the other side because they turn their phones off at 6 o'clock at night, or they don't turn their phone on until 9 o'clock in the morning. And while I understand that and respect people's space in this business right now too, sometimes you got to have some flexibility, because if you've got, I don't feel it's a service to your client if you've got somebody trying to get a hold of you to receive an offer on your listing, and now they're not willing to have a conversation with you until tomorrow after 9 a.m.
They could lose the opportunity because we got to be ready.
Well, my daughter got an email at 6:30 this morning from her buyer's agent that her offer was accepted. I was shocked because I knew that we went to highest and best. I knew that everything was being presented at 6 o'clock last night, and I was like, well, maybe we'll hear last night. And my daughter and I actually were on the phone until probably 11. And then I'm like, we wake up at 6:30 in the morning and have an accepted offer. So those agents literally were probably working half the night.
Yep.
And it's tough. I can tell you, I like to travel, but every time I go on vacation, somebody new is calling me when I'm in the airport.
Yes.
Or if I was in Punta Cana.
That's in the rule book. Don't you know that?
Yeah. We need to take more vacations, although it doesn't really work out that way.
It's like a magnet, but it's like funny because I can't tell you how many deals I've had to write and have negotiated when I'm on vacation. And lucky me, I get to sit in the sunshine, but at the same time, I'm sitting in the cabana with it's like that little meme with the guy on the surfboard.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So, okay, let's wrap this up here. So now, how would one get a hold of you? Why don't you just go ahead and chime up your phone number and the best way to get a hold of you, Heather?
So you can get a hold of me at 248-412-3952.
And you have a website?
Yes, I have a website. It's Heather Shaun, SHAUN.KW.com. Or you can email me at heathershaun@kw.com.
And Dustin, how could somebody get a hold of you?
My cell number is best number, 269-271-6969. You can also visit my website at DustinAndersonMortgage.com. And email is danderson@highlandsmortgage.com.
Well, thank you very much there. And Danielle, you got any closing words?
I appreciate you guys coming on today. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Great stories.
It was awesome. Thank you for having us.
Look forward to see your exciting growth for 2022.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And that's our show today on A Smarter Way Home. I am Victor Bals. And just remember, everybody, we got to try to get along. We'll see you next time.